Welcome back to IGN Live at E3 2019. In 2015, Dying Light's first-person zombie apocalypse parkour took the video game world by storm, and the upcoming sequel, Dying Light 2, looks like it's getting even crazier. With me to help navigate the deadly, nasty hordes of the undead are Adrian and Chris Avalone, along with IGN's Lucy O'Brien. Welcome to the IGN stage.
Hey, everyone.
Now, Lucy, I believe you've been lucky enough to play Dying Light 2.
Yeah, I was extremely impressed. It was about like a 30-minute, roughly, demo.
Around 20, 25.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and what I was most impressed by.
Czyli jakieś hands-ony są najwidoczniej, tylko w TV gry nie dostali.
Completely changed.
Albo laska po prostu trochę źle to powiedziała, bo sama nie grała.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
After releasing Dying Light 1, we thought that we have a missing ingredient for our ultimate experience of the open world. So we had this emergent gameplay in the first game, a lot of tools that you can play with, different ways to approaching the combat scenarios. But in terms of the story side, you were on rails, you were Calcrae, you were not you. So we thought that to create this ultimate experience of the open world, we just need to change something on the storytelling to make sure that it also will feel like the gameplay with the same amount of the emergent situations that you can play with. And we call it narrative sandbox. So the choices and consequences, in our opinion, was something really important for the formula. And how we did it like it should be done in our way for the action games. So there's a lot of satisfying elements, a lot of action-based twists and thrills. You've seen the demo, so you know what I'm talking about. So every choice you make has a consequence, and those consequences are not only connected to narrative events, so it's not like someone will die or live only, those kind of things, but also things about the world. So world reacts on your choices. If you do something with one faction, the other faction will react. There's something will be different in the city. The new community is gonna appear in the city, so the skyline will be different. So a lot of those kind of things. So the city in our game is actually another hero. Yeah, so it's not only about game about Aiden Caldwell, but it's also a game about the city.
And is it you mentioned that the whole areas could be locked out or opened up depending on these decisions.
Yeah.
So how often are these decisions made in Dying Light 2 when it comes to actual crucial massive changes in the story and of course in the areas that you get to explore?
Well, many times, but it's not overwhelming. Mm-hmm. It's like you building your feeling about what to do before. So it's not like you have a decision to make and then the word would change into A or B. Before making a decision, you have those tiny choices that you do before to just understand what this faction is doing, what this faction is doing, is this guy okay or not, and therefore you'll be ready to make this final choice. I believe Chris can jump and talk more about that.
Yeah, for most of the decisions, we try and make sure the stakes are listed out before you actually make the decision. Yeah. So even though there's a sense of urgency about it, you actually know what's at stake when making those big choices. But the environmental reactivity, though, like when Adrian first showed it to me, I was like, I can't believe this. Because usually, so I worked on role-playing games, and it's really easy to do like narrative reactivity when dealing with NPCs. But then to see an entire district change is something else. Then get a whole new area to explore just from that one choice. That feels like real reactivity to me.
Seems like it'd be an interesting challenge for a storyteller.
Yeah, well, the nice thing is it's actually fun because this, maybe one bad habit I have when writing is I want to write all the stories at once. But then Adrian provides a world where it's actually possible to do that, where it's not like, hey, I'm not just writing one linear thing. I can actually go A, B, C versus just a linear path. So it's actually it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Tell us about the new moves we can expect in Dying Light 2. When I was experiencing the demo, I remember at one point you guys were counting the moves and it was like 10 in a matter of seconds. And I think there was mentioned that you have double the moves in Dying Light 2 from the original. Yeah,
it's like we double the amounts of moves, parkour moves from the first game. What also we did is the new system of leveling up. It's not only about skills. It's also about the evolving your avatar, so your body. So you have, for example, this grappling hook you've seen on the demo, or other tools, and you just can level up your gear. So that's something different than skills. And the third thing that it gives you a lot of new options during the traversal is actually the city, our character. You know, the city is a character in the game. So by your choices, you actually transform certain passages or streets, and those places gives you opportunity to be even more efficient in movement and combat, of course. So it's like you have skills, you have your gear, so the avatar, and the city also supports the movement and the combat.
Well, I think that was one of the things that I was most impressed by in the demo was, you know, these are dilapidated buildings because it's post-apocalyptic, full of zombies and that sort of thing. But it very much felt like a playground.
Yeah.
You know, there are sort of ropes and like bridges everywhere and things.
It's still Dying Light.
Yeah. It's just that part seemed really exciting to me, and it just also seemed, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there was always a number of ways in which to traverse through any given environment.
Yeah. It's like you have plenty of choices to do, not only on the narrative side but also on the gameplay side. You can approach the main goal of in the demo. You can approach it like it was in the demo presented, but you can also use your skills and eventually dive somewhere, for example, use the skills, your stamina-based skills, to approach the goal. So it's not only about those gimmicks on the narrative side, you can also find the overpass on the gameplay side, kill zombies differently, use the environment, use the communities that you're working with, they can help you in a fight. So there's a lot of options how to deal with the infected and other bandits, for example.
So we play a character named Aiden, is that right?
Yeah, Aiden Caldwell. Yeah.
Does Aiden have a backstory, or is it?
Yeah, it's the game starts outside the city, so that's the first thing, and you're entering the city. So it's a new world for you. You are infected. You are not infected at the very beginning of the game, so you're learning what does it mean to be infected. So you're adjusting to the new world, and there is a backstory. He's like he's got this, but. To make sure that it will be the immersive experience, we thought that this moral compass of Aiden Caldwell is actually the player, you know? So my Aiden Caldwell, Lucy's Aiden Caldwell, Chris Aiden Caldwell could be a different hero in our game. There's something that is written in stone at the very beginning, but when you're approaching the city, you need to adjust to the situation, and in the way you adjust means that it's connected with you, I mean the player, yeah?
So how is that for you, writing that character?
Okej, czyli jest zestapowana postać, ale jednak jest duży wpływ gracza na to, jaka ona jest, tak?
It's one thing to do a linear story path where you're trying to enforce a certain emotional beat versus maybe there's something that's unique about your choice or something special about your choice, and then you're contributing to the development of that character, and it becomes more your own versus us telling you what that character is.
Oh, it's an amazing proposition. Let's talk about combat. How have you evolved combat this time around?
So we just did, of course, a big change. It's still the evolution of this super joyful combat from the first game.
Spoko, to nic porobię.
So it's more about
Może nawet na weekendzie zobaczymy.
Your enemy and then react. So learning the right move, right moment is crucial, and it creates the sensation of joy in the way that wasn't even implemented in the first game, you know, because you have this moment that you feel like, okay, we're finding this moment, and then drop kick or other fancy move from the first game. So they're all there, but it's like more tactical, it's more connected with this momentum, and it gives you a lot of satisfaction. We also did some changes in crafting, so crafting is also supporting this way of playing this combat more tactical, so those effects are very much connected with certain abilities of the enemies, so you can interact with, so you can debuff something, for example, to make you sure that you will find the right way to finish the guy. So it's more tactical, but the level of joy, the excitement connected to combat is a king in our game. So it's all there, and it's even higher level than in the first game.
Do your sort of, how do I put this? If you're really brutal and just decide to kill everyone, or if you decide to spare certain people, especially human beings. I presume zombies are fair game. Does that affect the story in any way?
I can't tell you too much about that,
Aw.
but as we mentioned even a year ago, this narrative sandbox we're creating is like the choices you make on the gameplay side affect the narrative, and the choices you make on the narrative side affect gameplay. So I don't know if it's the right answer. I cannot be, so precise on that, unfortunately, but more to come,
And that's incredibly exciting. And also, there's co-op as well. Co-op returns, which was
Yeah.
a big part of the original Dying Light.
And it's still the important element of the second game.
And how does that work with, obviously, a very complicated story if co-op partners are dropping in and out?
Well, like in the first game, when you're joining someone's session, you're joining his world.
Yep.
So you entering my world, for example, and then you're gonna see the consequences of my choices. So that's the thing. We thought that would be really nice experience to play the game of someone's world, to see how this world could look differently because of series of choices you made before. So if you join my session, you'll be just my mate in my game, in my world. Of course, the gear you find, everything that it's really not connected to choices will be with you in your game when we disconnect. It's fully drop in, drop out. We're still working on something that will be really a big milestone in
O, coś zatizowali koopowego.
Still, I cannot tell you.
No, tylko nic więcej oczywiście nie powiem, ale coś może być nowego koopowego, to ciekawe.
You're in the world, so it's a great thing to finish.
Ty, czyżby może jakiś taki live event, że można tako wbić do na przykład znajomego, który gra i nie wiem, pomóc, bo tego wymaga misja albo ma kłopoty, coś w tym stylu? Nie wiem, w sumie, czy to by było takie fajne, by pasowało.
This is something really awesome. And
W ogóle z jakimiś randomowymi graczami?
As a game plus, you can make a different choices, so therefore it will be a different game. That's a cool thing because we have fans that are still playing.
O, i potwierdzili Hanową Grę Plus właśnie.
100,000 people are playing Dying Light every week. So it's a cool thing because I'm asking them where you are, and they're talking, I'm on a Pact with Rice quest, lab 4 or lab 5, So they're just playing all over again. So in Dying Light 2, that will be a different lab, It's like because of the choices they can make, it's a different game. So that's a really great value for those players.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that sounds very cool. I know you have a very dedicated community. It's excited for Dying Light 2. They won't have to wait too long. Second quarter of 2020 is what you're saying right now? Cool.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming by the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right, we are all dying to play Dying Light 2, and we'll have lots more on IGN leading up to its release. Right now, E3 continues. What's up next?
In my head.